Hey, Happy New Year, Ocoee region. Yes, Toni Miles is back. I am so glad to be back with you this year, 2019, and I'm telling you, this is the year. I know we've been saying that for a long time, but every year this is the year. So, God has just opened up a window for all of us. We are under his care, under his portal, and he is just pouring out blessings. And you better get yours, because I'm going to get mine. Amen?
Amen.
I am so excited. We are here today. But before I tell you about my guests and what we're talking about, I've got to pay the bills, right? Got to pay the bills. And Southern Charm Boutique is back as my #1 sponsor. And yes, the top I have on, it is from Southern Charm Boutique. And you have to go see her, Carrie Dole, at Southern Charm Boutique. And tell her Toni Miles from Transforming Greatness told you to come. Look at these earrings. Come on, y'all. Come on. You know I'm looking good. Hey! Anyway, I am so excited. This year, Transforming Greatness is another sponsor, which is my consulting company. And I just want to put a plug in here for that. If you are still wondering what you were created for, wondering what your purpose is, connect with me through Transforming Greatness. And I will come along with you and help you to discover, develop, and dominate in the original design. That's your purpose, the original design. All right, so I got two great people here today. I got Jake Stum.
Hi, Toni.
Hey, Jake,
Hey.
how you doing?
I'm feeling compelled to match your level of intensity. All right, let's go.
Let's do this. And we have Olympia Pierce, my
morning.
girl. Happy New Year to you
Happy
both.
New
Happy
Year
New
to
Year
you.
to you, Toni.
Because I didn't see you during the holidays. You just get scattered and everything. So Happy New Year. But we're here to talk about something. I'm excited, and I don't want to be somber about this, even though it's a very serious subject. But we're going to talk about Be the Bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're going to explain exactly what that means. But I'm not going to do all the talking today. I know y'all laughing. She's not going to talk today. I know you're laughing. But I'm going to have Jake to talk about Be the Bridge, how this wonderful concept got started here in Cleveland and Bradley County. And so give me the background story. And then we're going to talk about what we've been doing with Be the Bridge. Okay?
Okay, sounds great. First of all, thank you for having us on, Olympia and I. And we went through a great experience together, which I've known Toni, all the listeners, for a long time. But this is the first time I think that we've really known each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what this is about. I've been in meetings with you, Toni,
Yes.
and we've been friends. We've had coffee. But now I think
Oh, my God.
we're on another level.
Oh,
And,
a deep level.
Deep level. And
Yeah.
when I see you now, my heart jumps like it didn't jump before. And I think and with Olympia, the same. I did not know Olympia before this
Right.
process. So before any backstory, I think I'm just grateful to have two true friends. And it's fun to have
Yeah,
real
it is.
friends. So I could go really far into the past, but I won't until later, maybe if we have time. But for here in Cleveland, what happened was around the time of the Black Lives Matter movement
Yes.
came around. That was a really, and still is, but at the time it was a hot topic in Cleveland. And I didn't know how to sort through all that I was hearing. And I heard my black friends and I heard my white friends in Cleveland, and the stories that were being told were so disjointed.
Yes.
That they are, it was disappointing to me. And I needed to sort out where I landed and how I felt. I was heartbroken for the black community because
Yes.
I didn't feel like the black community was being heard in a way that the black community needed to be heard. And I was disappointed in some of my white friends who weren't listening, who were just reacting without listening. And that started a wider conversation with United Way and with a group of people of, okay, let's get black and white people in the same room and let's start a discussion.
Yes.
And through, I think, the Lord led us to this curriculum, Be the Bridge, which is a beautiful curriculum, and reached out to Toni and said, Toni, will you co-lead a group with us through this process and this curriculum? And thankfully, Toni agreed. And it was about evenly distributed, about 6 white people and about 6 black people. And we were together, supposed to be 9 weeks, and I think we went 13 weeks.
We did.
And so that's the short history. There's a longer history, obviously, in Cleveland and in America and in my life and the way that I got involved in this conversation. But for this, I think it was around that time of Black Lives Matter and I wanted to know what the black community was thinking, and that brought us together at this group. And the result, I think, was absolutely beautiful.
I want to go here just to add it's a small group, and the curriculum covers 9 areas, so people know exactly what we're talking about. And so it covers awareness, acknowledgement and lament, shame and guilt, confession, forgiveness, repentance. And here comes a word that nobody likes, reparation, but it's not what you think, and restoration and reproduction. So it's those 9 sessions. And if I remember correctly, we got sort of stuck in, it was a couple of them that ran over, just kept going over and over in. Anyway, I think it started in the shame and guilt, confession, forgiveness.
Yeah, I think the confession one was the one that I think went 3 weeks.
And forgiveness.
And forgiveness. Yeah, because, depending on where you were, you had to not only forgive yourself, but you had to forgive your community, your culture. You were standing in the gap, and even your family and family members.
Yes, ma'am.
And so if you all are, it's a racial reconciliation. It is very focused on racial reconciliation. And I will say this, that Jesus Christ redeemed us all and reconciled us all back to the Father. So as believers, first and foremost, we should always be walking in reconciliation.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter what the culture is. Because I'm going to say this, all these labels are man-made.
That's right.
I agree.
They're man-made. They're man-made. God has one culture. God has one race. God has one people.
Yeah,
so I had to get that out there.
That's right.
So we have to manifest what's in the spiritual realm into the earthly realm. And that's what this is all about. That hopefully here on earth, we can walk in reconciliation.
Right. And I think learn to celebrate our differences, learn to celebrate the culture that you were raised in, and honor that and know that. If I don't know your history and I don't know your culture, and your best friends are people who you know, and you know their background, and you kind of know the way they think and why they think. And until I think that starts happening to where I can truly celebrate both of you and your background and your history and know why you think the way you do, and celebrate your uniqueness in the way that you were made in your culture, I think that it's just a different level of understanding that is important in our culture today.
Yeah, it really is. And I know, Olympia, with you being here, and I just wanted to bring this out a little bit because I heard it, and I know you have heard it from time to time, and Jake, I know you've experienced this too. But here in Cleveland, Tennessee, I've ran into a lot of people that when I'm talking about this, their response is, Oh, we don't have that problem here in Cleveland. Speak to that.
This is
Go for it, Olympia.
this is such a faith-centered community that, you know, a lot of times we think if we go to church and we read our Bible and we pray that the reconciliation to God is enough. But, you know, when you think about the greatest commandment, you love God, but you also love your neighbor as yourself. And so that reconciliation is both vertical and horizontal. And we have to be responsible for making sure that we are aware of how we're relating to our brothers and sisters, not just inside the church, but outside of the church. And one of the beautiful things about this curriculum is that it gives you a goal, racial reconciliation. And have you ever been bowling and felt like you needed those guardrails up to keep your ball from going in the gutter?
Every time.
And so with the different lessons, those are your guardrails.
Yeah,
Because
I
when
love
you
that
speak to
analogy.
people about racial reconciliation, we automatically tense up. We think about worst case scenarios, but there's a lot of intentionality that goes into providing a safe environment, laying principles that are biblical principles down to ensure that we communicate in love
Yes.
and with purpose, but at the same time that we can be honest and that we can do the work in pulling down some of those walls that we have within ourselves and with one another.
And you know, one thing we all found out is that it is a process. At the end of those sessions, those I don't want to scare anybody by saying 13 weeks, end of those 9 weeks. And we were doing an hour a week.
Right.
So, I mean, it can be done, you can add
Sure.
2 hours. But it, we realized at the end there is so much more work to be done. I will just be honest because transparent. I won't say I'm always honest. I'll be transparent. I remember just recently something surfaced on TV, and you know, I walked through this. I walked through anger, and I was, you know, sort of the mindset. Okay, I've forgiven this. It's gone. This anger's gone, and oh my God. I had to be reminded. Now, thank God, because of this training, I knew exactly what it was. And I knew that my reaction had to be in love and not what first came up in my thought. And I had to take root of that. But I'm telling you, it is a process that you have to live through every day. But if you don't go through this process, and really look at yourself, look at the people around that table. And I love what you said, is that to really listen to each other's truths. And I'm going to say it like that, that because our environment, our families, all of that has impacted our perspective and how we view the world.
For sure.
And our experiences. And so when we can share that, oh my God, there's just so much better understanding. And I know for you, Jake, you have 2 kids of color that you and America are raising.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you all are not with them, then they experience things because of the color of their skin.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you might want to touch upon that.
Sure. That we adopted. We have 3 children, 1 biological and 2 adopted. 2 adopted, 1 from Ethiopia and 1 from India. So we're the United Nations.
United Nations.
Right there at our house. And when we brought our youngest home 10 years ago now, and we knew that it was important for us. We didn't know what this meant. And really, I think Be the Bridge was the first time we were able to put together, 10 years later, what does it mean to embrace our kids and their culture, and how does that look in our community, and all those things. But we knew it was important, and we started to realize quickly that there was there's not a lot of like outright animosity in Cleveland.
No, not saying
And
that.
I think you would agree with that. It's not blatant.
Nope.
But we started realizing quickly that there was just a huge divide in
Yeah.
the communities. And in our group, I told plenty of stories of funny things that we encountered. And we experienced what it was like to be in the minority, you know.
Yes.
And to be in those settings where we were in the minority, which a lot of white people in Cleveland don't ever get those experiences. So I think it was an honor that we were able to have some of those on a sports team or at events that we went to. And you know, it's just fascinating for us to have children of color and a white biological son. The differences that they experience are real.
Yes.
And you know, when people say that there isn't any racism in Cleveland, that's just not true. And a lot of times I think we don't realize that it's there, and you know, it's the way we were raised and we're blind to things. But there is a major difference in the way that kids are treated. And it was awesome for America and I to get to have you all pour into our life.
Yes.
And there was a moment where Toni and I had a real moment, and it was beautiful. And we don't have to get into that on
That's
TV.
okay.
But it's just awesome to have a group of friends who are looking out for us and helping us
Yes.
avoid pitfalls. And I don't know if that's all that you were looking for with that question, but it's just a fun,
Yeah.
beautiful thing to be on this journey together with other people.
And that is exactly what I was trying to pull out, because when people hear racial reconciliation, you hit it right the head on it. Everybody tense up. And what I want to say is, what's so great about this curriculum and the process that it takes you to, oh my God, we build bridges. And I can tell you, for me, in our group, our first small group, I went in with friends, and I walked out with family. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And we all don't look alike. And it was a merging of all the different cultures into one. And that's why I love racial unity.
Right.
You know, because it just pulls us all together. And so I just
think
wanted
it's,
to share that.
It was powerful for me that in our culture today, you never know what you can and can't say a lot of times. And it's just intimidating to have the desire to connect, but not knowing what words are acceptable and what's not, and what feelings can I say. To be in the group environment. You know, in our first session, we established our norms.
Sure did.
And we established the rules of the group, and it's all in the curriculum, but it was brilliant in a way to do it, to promise transparency and to promise
Yes.
privacy, and that you can say something, just say it. You
Yes.
know? And in this group, we're
a
going to
safe
be able
place.
to. I was the only white man in the group.
Yes,
So, man,
but thank
it
you.
was awesome. But I learned so much about myself, and I'm so much more comfortable now, not just with the black community, but in all cultures. I feel so
Yes.
confident and comfortable to have conversations, having been through this. So that was one of the biggest things to me, just to have a space where I can say, this might be offensive, but here's what I'm thinking, and
Yeah.
to have honest feedback. Yes, that actually is
That is offensive.
but it was in a space where it was fun, just like we're
Yes.
having now. So
Yes.
that was one of the best things for me, and it was just really cool.
And we did have tools in place to help us deal with the offensive things, because we talked about being honest and making a statement in the beginning that we wouldn't walk away offended.
Right.
So when you have that moment where you have to decide, should I say something about this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we talked about it, and we knew that at the end we were going to make a choice to love one another and to not walk away offended.
Right. And I just love that. We had such a great group, I'm telling you. And I would recommend this to all churches. I really believe that, I'm just going to put it out here, that the faith community, the church community should lead this. It is biblically based. It is what we're supposed to be living out anyway. And I think we have a great opportunity in this community, the City of Spirit,
Right.
to lead this. I mean, there are cities across the country. If you go on the Facebook, Be the Bridge, the national organization, it's growing by leaps
Yes,
and bounds. And people, with this most recent, these last couple of years of this racial divide that has been uncovered, because I'm going to say it's been here all along.
Sure.
Okay? It's just boiled up to the top. And we have to find a way to bridge our communities, we've been reconciled back to God, but we have to live that out. So how can we do that? So what I want to ask you to today, and we're going to come back because I don't want us to go so long nobody watches this, but we're going to come back with more information because you both have the heart that we continue to do this. I just did this at my church, Dwelling Place Church International, in 2018. So proud of Pastor Nim taking the first, I want to say, jumped in and led the way as a church doing this. But right after, we're going to come back, because I want to talk more about what you guys get ready to do next. And then I want to talk about a special project that was birthed out of this first class.
Sounds
All right?
great.
Hey, Ocoee region, I want to thank you for joining me for this first segment of conversation with Jake and Olympia talking about Be the Bridge. We're going to come back with a part 2 segment to give you more information. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you soon.